This video is going to show you how to take your Bitmoji classroom and any Bitmoji buttons that you've made and how to actually insert them into your Schoology page. So we are going to start by opening in our Google Drive a new drawing. So you might need to go to More under New here. And in order for it to fit as a banner, as an announcement in our Schoology page, we need to adjust the sizing, the dimensions. So I'm going to go to File, Page Setup, and I want to do a custom 9 by 5. So 9 by 5 inches, and apply. And I'm going to just title this Bitmoji Classroom. That should be good enough. Okay, so now we've got this blank page here. We are going to go to the classroom that we've made, and I'm going to click on the slide I want. So since there's only that one slide, we're good. Click File, Download as a PNG. So that's going to save this page as just a picture file. And then I'm going to go back to that drawing and just drag it in. Now what's great about this is that all of these items that we put in are just locked in there in my classroom. So I can't edit this page once it's in this classroom. So if you want to make any more edits to your Bitmoji classroom, do that before you've put it in here. This stuff is set. Now notice that there's still a border around it. That is totally fine because that's where I'm going to put all of my buttons. So I'm going to actually resize this, and we'll figure that out in a little bit to make it perfect. But all of the sort of checkerboardy pattern thing, that's transparent. So when it goes into your Schoology page, that's not going to really appear. It's just going to be blank white, I believe. So don't stress about that showing through. So now let's go download our buttons, and I'm going to do each of these exactly like I did the classroom. So go to File, Download, PNG. And I'm going to do that for each of these buttons. And then I'm going to go back to my drawing and just drop each of these buttons in. Now they're going to be huge because we made them pretty big. They were like 5 by 5. They don't need to be that big. So I'm going to just drag them down, and I'm going to click on Format Options and actually figure out how big did I just make that. I think maybe 1.25 might be good. And then I can just do that for all of these. Oops. And since it's a square, I want the width and height to stay 1.35. Okay, so I've got all of my buttons in here. Just gonna zoom out just a little bit. So I've got all my buttons in here, and I just want to kind of position them in a way that I like. And something that's kind of neat is if I highlight these three and right click, I can distribute vertically, make sure that the spacing in between them is all good. So it's gonna make that perfectly distributed in between these three buttons. All right, that looks pretty good. So then what we wanna do is actually add our Bitmoji into here. And so what I found is if you search pose, you can find a lot of just full body shots just doing random things. So I think I'm gonna start with, at the beginning of the year, this sort of welcoming Bitmoji that's like, hey, how's it going? And I'm going to flip it horizontally so that we're waving the opposite direction. All right, and then I'm going to insert some text onto this whiteboard. Let's find a good kind of handwriting font and say, welcome to class. And I'm just gonna make that bigger. All right, that looks great. So this is what you can update if you wanna make announcements throughout the year. If you want to change your Bitmoji, I had a friend this past school year that changed her character every day. She changed her outfit every single day just because she wasn't able to see her students. So that was a way for her to make herself feel more personable to her kids that she wasn't seeing every day. I think I need to add something at the bottom. So something that I did this past school year was to have my units at the bottom. So I'm gonna insert an image and search the web for a post-it. This looks great. So I'm gonna insert that. Let's see, does this have a transparent background? Yeah, that's better. All right, this looks great. I'm gonna make it way smaller. Move this up. Okay, so I think I wanna have a post-it for each unit, but you know what? I kind of don't like how this doesn't match my color scheme. So I'm gonna go to Format Options, and just like I've done before, see if I can adjust that color scheme. That seems a little bit better. And I want to have one post-it for each unit. So again, I'm going to right click, distribute, this time horizontally, see if that opens it up. And then we can even align vertically. So let's align it on the bottom and then just scoot it up. That looks great. All right, let me move these up a little bit. Okay. So then what I could do is for each unit throughout the year, I could add a little text box here and make this clickable. So if I wanted to say Unit 1, functions. This was something that I did last year, and I thought it was super helpful for my students. So I'll have a post-it note for each of the units throughout the year, and I'll just update this as the year progresses. So the point of this Bitmoji classroom is that these buttons are now going to be clickable for students, and that I can actually update it as we keep going. And that's what makes it really personable. So I get the buttons that will help students navigate Schoology, and I get that personability of my Bitmoji and what I value and putting those announcements in here. So in order to make these clickable, let's start with late work. I have a Google form that I would send to my students so that they could fill it out as they turned in stuff that was late, so that I could kind of keep track of it. And Schoology isn't the best at telling you when students turn things in late. So this was something that really saved me last year, having them fill out this late work form. So in order to add the link here, I'm going to click on it and hit Control K. And that's going to allow me to link when students click on this button here. So I'm going to pull the URL from this late work form, so I can just show you what that looks like. So here's the URL. I'm just going to copy it, go back here, paste it, and apply. So now, whenever students click on this link in Schoology, it'll open up that form. I'll go do the same for Math Space, Control K, and then I just have this one memorized. But when students click on this button, it'll take them to Math Space. For schedule and resources, I actually want that to open up a page within Schoology. So what I'm going to do is go to my practice course in Schoology and go to the folder that I want to open up when students click on that button. So for schedule, I want it to open up this weekly plans folder. And I'm just going to copy that URL in the weekly plans folder. Go right back to the Bitmoji classroom, Control K, paste, apply. For resources, I want it to be a different folder in my Schoology, this resources folder. So I'm going to click on it, click on the URL, copy, Control K, paste, apply. So now these three are linked. Desmos activity, let me link that one. And then contact me. A neat little trick in Google is that if you just do mail to : and then just type in your email address, it'll automatically mail it. When they click that button, it'll open up an email, a blank email for students to send. So I'm not going to do that right now, but that's how you can do that. Okay, so this looks pretty good. I think it's ready to go into my, let me kind of shrink this down actually. It's almost ready to go into my page. All right, that looks pretty good. So here's how we're gonna put it into Schoology. I need to know what this is called. So this is called Bitmoji Classroom. I'm gonna call it number 10, just so I know that I'm finding the right one for myself later. So I'm going to go into my Schoology course, go to Updates, and then click down here for Resource. Then I need to go to Apps, and it's my Google Drive Resource app. So I'm going to search for Bitmoji Classroom 10. So that's the one that I was just working with. I want to click on the checkbox and then go to the gear, import embed. And you can also do that same thing from here. So now we can see that it is right there in the text box. Do not click post yet. We've got to do 2 more things before we can post it. Number 1 is I need to turn on the save it as an announcement. Otherwise it won't stay at the top. It'll just be an update. It won't be that banner that we want. We want it to always be there. And then the second thing we need to do is something that's really, really weird and kind of really computery, but it's not too terrible. So just hear me out. You're gonna right click and go to inspect. And this is gonna open up some crazy looking stuff. What we need to do is tell Schoology how big to make this as the banner. So I'm gonna hit, while I'm in this weird inspect thing, Control F to find, and what I wanna find is the word iframe. So we're finding iframe. Now this first one here is not something we care about. What we're looking for is a specific 1 or 2 of the iframes where the Google Doc link follows. So I'm on number 1 of 9 here. I'm gonna hit next. I don't see the Google Doc. I don't see the Google Doc. Nope. 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 This is the one. So you can see how right after the word iframe, it says that Google Doc link. I need to go to the width and make it 900 and go to the height and make it 500. This is going to tell Schoology how big to make this. And then I just want to double check that I don't need to do that anywhere else. No, so that was the only one. I'm going to exit out of this and then click post. Now looking at this, I should be able to click on each of these buttons that I linked and it should take me to the location that I described. So if I click on schedule, it opens up that weekly plans page. When I click on late work, it should open up that Google form, which is perfect. And then as the year goes on, I would update each of these little post-it notes at the bottom so that when students click on it, it actually leads to the unit 1 and then unit 2 and so on. Now looking at this, I kind of wish I had like a frame around each of these buttons. So that might be something that I go and update because I just think it would add just a little something extra to this Bitmoji classroom. But if I wanted to, I can go update this. It says, welcome to class. We'll get started soon. Something like that. And then when I go back to this page and refresh it, it updates immediately, just like that. So that's the beauty of this Bitmoji classroom, is that you make any update into here and it'll automatically update into the Schoology page as well.